If you like this video, why not subscribe?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Frugal movie studio here in my car. As you can tell, it's raining outside, but try this anyway and see how it works. This is a weekly recap where we talk about last week's emails, comments, and posts on Facebook. All the links that accrued over the past week. So first off, I want to talk about the last episode we did here in the car. Seems to be well received. People seem to like the idea. And I brought up the issue last time about whether or not you wanted me to do behind-the-scenes footage of short films that I make, and there was an overwhelming yes to that. Everyone wants to see behind-the-scenes footage. So even though I don't have any per se for Temp Insanity, I think I'm going to construct kind of a documentary-style short about how we did the short. So, saying that, here are the links from last week. The links from last week. We start with Shaun Senn's PVC stabilizer. Remember, all these things can be found in the description below. This was a version of the PVC stabilizer made by Shaun on Facebook. Another one was the DIY shoulder rig. This is Vincent Vasquez from his show, the $20 Filmmaker. He's a lot braver than I am. He actually gives himself a cap on how much money he spends. That link is also below. Then there was Rom Factorlerin's improvised DSL glider, which is basically a table dolly. This is his version of it. It's slightly different. Looks kind of like a skateboard with a tripod mount on it. That's also below. And in the news, Magic Lantern, those are the guys that make the software that allows you to open up a lot of the features on the lower-end Canon DSLR cameras, announced they're going to have a setting for HDR video that's high dynamic range, where you kind of combine the highs of the picture and the lows of the picture for a better picture. So that's now available. That link also below. We also had another link from Hazelton. She's the one working on the Underwater Realm web series, I believe it is. And she had a great post about using lights around the house to add that extra sparkle. She had a really good part I thought was interesting about using Christmas lights to light up your scene, or to add certain effects to your scene to add that extra sparkle, as she says. And that's really pertinent right now because you probably are getting ready to put away your Christmas lights, so here's a good use for them. Those are the white lights, actually. But I thought it was a pretty cool idea. Next up is Alex Forey's Frugal rig. This is basically a FigRig, actually a circular PVC rig that he made. We also have on the Frugal Filmmaker blog, we had Knoptop, his latest episode of Quick Effects, which I really like. He did some behind the scenes for a short, or a teaser short, that was being made in his area using the Red camera, and there was a really cool location, a factory location, old shutdown factory, that would make a lot of awesome movies in that location, so you want to check that out. His link is also below. And then finally, on the Frugal Filmmaker blog, the actual Frugal Filmmaker show, I posted an episode of the Frugal Filmmaker which dealt with a suction cup camera mount. That's one you attach to your car, which seems to have been received pretty well. Everyone seems to like the show and the footage that I managed to squeeze out of it. One thing that everyone said about that episode, at least commented about the most, seemed to be that, hey, I think it's illegal to put a suction cup on your car window which obstructs the view. You'll probably get a ticket for it or something like that. And I didn't think about that when I was putting that episode together, but you're probably right. I wouldn't argue with you that there is probably a high probability you're going to get pulled over if you're seen, which is why I would recommend kind of treat the whole situation the same way you would treat using an airsoft rifle, not an orange tip. Tell law enforcement what you're doing, although if you're driving around, I would just say kind of restrict yourselves to suburbs. If you're going to put the camera mount on the front windshield or the back windshield, drive around in low visibility areas so you won't get pulled over. And if you do, you kind of have to do what you do with any kind of movie shoot where the police are involved. You got to talk your way out of it. Tell them you're making a student film, or that you're a filmmaker and what you're doing, and they'll probably just let you off with a warning. I wouldn't recommend using that rig like on busy city streets or on the freeway where it really draws attention. If you have to do that, or if you have to, I wouldn't recommend using it on the freeway at all, but if you have to use a city location, I recommend putting the rig on maybe one of your side windows where it's less visible. You can get away with it a lot more. It's not going to stick out as much. And you can get some really good footage with some cool shots in the background of the city if that's what you're after. So just be careful, use common sense, and talk your way out of situations you might find yourself in, which you have to learn to do as a filmmaker anyway. Okay, on to some personal messages on YouTube. The first one we have here is from Ben Iru. And this is he commented on the he sent me a message about the trolley dolly. He said, "Hi, do you make the trolley dolly for others? I'm willing to pay. I just don't have the space to build my own." I get a lot of these kind of messages for various pieces of gear that I built, where people are saying, "Hey, I can't build this. I can't. There's no way I can make it on my own. Can you please make me one? I'll pay you for it, and just send it to me." And I always tell everybody that I can't do that. I'm not in the manufacturing business. I'm sharing this information freely. I don't have the time to make a bunch of rigs for different people, and it's really not worth my time, because then I'm using all of my free time to make rigs instead of developing new things. So I'm sorry I can't do that. Plus, I'd also get into the quagmire of customer service, and I really don't want to do that either. It's just something I don't want to get involved in. I'm not a manufacturer. I'm trying to be a filmmaker. So apologize for that, but I can't. Okay, next up we have a message from Seth M. Burrow. He says, "Can you make a mount so I can put it in a tree? I have a script with a camera shot in a tree and I don't have any way to do it." Well, I'd recommend. I don't have a way to do that other than, I would say, buy a GorillaPod, which is one of those camera mounts that lets you has some like spindly legs, and you can wrap it around any object. It'll kind of cling to it, and that'd be a perfect way to get your tree shot. There are knockoffs on eBay. Just kind of do a search for GorillaPod, and they'll probably come up. There's different sizes, so watch out. Some of the really cheap ones are actually made for really tiny cameras. So if you have a bigger camera, make sure you're getting a bigger GorillaPod or GorillaPod clone. Alright, next message is from, well, I can't even, his YouTube handle is just a bunch of letters and numbers, so I'm just going to read the message. He says, "I saw your video on the PVC cage and went ahead and made it. It works perfectly. However, then I saw this video about a camera stabilizer is more like a shoulder mount. I was wondering if you had any ideas on combining your PVC cage with a shoulder mount." Well, I've had lots of people ask me to make a shoulder rig, and lots of people, in fact, if you go to the video responses on the PVC stabilizer, there are several people that have combined that PVC stabilizer, which is basically a cage rig, with shoulder mounts by simply adding a PVC T onto the back and then having an extension out. So it's really pretty easy if you want to do it yourself. I'm definitely going to make a shoulder rig in the future sometime, hopefully something that's different than what everybody else is making. But one reason that I really haven't is because I'm so tall. I'm 6'7", so a shoulder rig puts everything on a really high angle, so I'd always be shooting down on most people because I'm taller than the average person. So I like to have kind of the free-floating rig that I can move up and down on that axis, so that doesn't happen. But everybody wants a shoulder rig, so I'll probably end up making one, and hopefully I'll find an interesting and different way to do it. Okay, YouTube comments on the Zoom H1 accessories video. Someone asks, "What's the ideal input level number for the Zoom H1?" Now I found, of course, that there is no ideal input level. You have to look at the level meters, the audio meters, that's why they're there. And general belief is that you shoot for negative 12 dB, keep the audio level right around that, so you have some overhead, so you don't clip your audio or distort it if something loud happens. Although for specific numbers, I've actually found that when I use my cheap Radio Shack lav mic, that I have to peg the input level at 100. That's full blast, because otherwise, and that usually hits between negative 12 and 6, which is what I like to shoot for. But you just have to, whatever audio, whatever microphone you're using, you just have to look at those meters. That's the critical measurement, not necessarily the number of the input. So use your best judgment. You can tell if it clips. Okay, and finally we have a comment on the trolley dolly video. Someone says, "Could I use the whole DIY table dolly and just make the track wider?" And I would say, sure, go ahead, make a wider track. You could use the PVC table dolly, probably just slap it on there. I wanted a smaller profile for the dolly itself, the little trolley part, because introducing wobble is really easy, and if it's any kind of height, it will wobble more. With the dolly, maybe that'll stabilize it better. I don't know, I haven't really messed with it. I just kind of took the table dolly and shrunk it down. And that's what worked for me. So experiment with it, let me know. And leave me some comments on this video if you're interested in hearing about something else. I kind of want to present a question with these shows to maybe give some comment fodder, get you guys thinking about something. And one thing I wanted to present today was that I'm going to start making my own short films, well, inside and outside of school. But I was kind of curious on what types of short films you're interested in, what genre, what would you most like to see from me, or what interests you the most, so that I can kind of appeal to my audience and go from there. So that's the weekly recap this week. Doing this every Monday. There's no video coming up this Wednesday. The following Wednesday will be the Frugal Filmmaker Tip of the Month. But this week, no videos until next Monday. So I hope your Christmas was happy, and we'll see you in a week.